Hello folks, it's Gordon here, hope all is well with you. And this video I've called Goal Achievement at 4 minutes a mile, because it is the 6th of May 2024 as I'm recording this video, and it's 70 years today that Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile. That's Sir Roger Bannister to you. He's the first man to run a mile in 4 minutes 70 years ago. 6th of May 1954. And I definitely did this video 10 years ago to celebrate 60 years. I'm bloody well doing it again today to celebrate 70 years. And it's a great story about leading up to it and some fun facts and figures. So you might be interested, you might not. If you aren't interested, bollocks anyway. And if you are interested, let's crack on, because 70 years ago, athletics was real old school amateur athletics, and Roger Bannister was training to be a doctor. So he didn't have much spare time to devote to training. And he qualified for the 1952 Olympics, running for GB in Helsinki. And he felt quite confident about the 1500. A mile is 1600 metres, but in the Olympics they run 1500 metres. So he felt confident about his chances in the 1500 metres until they announced that they were introducing a semi-final round. And he felt that that was going to suit people who were able to devote more time to training. And he got to the final and he broke the British record, but he finished 4th. Which is the cliche is that's the worst place to finish, 4th. Having broken the British record, and he spent a long time deciding whether to give up running or whether to give up serious competitive running. And he decided that he wasn't going to give up running, and in fact he was going to set himself a goal of being the first man to run a mile in 4 minutes. And there was a sort of myth around at the time, a perception in the public that a man couldn't run a mile in 4 minutes. It wasn't possible. Actually, people in athletics knew that it was possible. It's just that the record had been coming down and down and down slowly, partly because of the war, apart from anything else, and the aftermath of the war. So people inside athletics knew that it could be done. They just didn't know when and who was going to do it. So after recovering from the disappointment of the 52 Olympics in Helsinki, in spring 1953, Bannister ran a time of 4:03 for the mile. So he knew that 4 minutes was within his capabilities. And he kept plugging away at it. Fast forward to 1954, and in early 1954, spring 1954, an Australian called John Landy ran 4 minutes and 2 seconds. He had a few goes at trying to get the 4 minutes, and Bannister said he thought that Landy was going to do it on one of his attempts, but the closest he got was 4:02. And then there was a gap because Landy was travelling from Australia to Europe and wasn't going to run again until he got to Europe. So Bannister knew he had a window of opportunity, and really, if he was going to, his best bet was to do it in that window of opportunity when Landy wasn't running. So we got to the 6th of May 1954, 70 years ago today, at a track in Oxford, old cinder running track. And on 2 occasions, Bannister said, no, I'm not going to do it today because the wind, it was a really strong wind. And I don't know if you know anything about athletics, but the wind, particularly when it comes to records, can make a huge amount of difference. So Bannister wasn't going to do it. He was going to call off the attempt. A special meeting had been set up and the world record people were there. So it would have been a bit of a hoo-ha had he cancelled, but he didn't want to feel pressured to run and not do it. But there was a drop in the wind. So he said, right, I'm going to do it. And he had 2 pacemakers, and he had his pace set to break the 4-minute mile, and he kicked on the last lap and broke the tape. In the old days, you know, they're still holding a tape across, and a man with a stopwatch. And his time was confirmed at 3 minutes 59 seconds. He'd broken the world record, and he was the first man to get under 4 minutes. And John Landy did it 46 days later, and Bannister never broke the world record again. It's fascinating, isn't it? So Roger Bannister got that window of opportunity, took the window of opportunity, and the world record, his world record only lasted 46 days, but because he was the first, it's his name that went down in history. Sir Roger Bannister. I think everyone knows who Roger Bannister is and knows his name. If you said to someone who didn't like sport at all, never mind athletics, who's Roger Bannister, they'd probably be able to tell you, certainly in Britain anyway. It's a real goal achievement story, isn't it? Setbacks originally, just choosing whether to carry on or choosing whether not to carry on, having a plan, getting everything set up, taking a window of opportunity and succeeding, although there was no guarantee of success. And this is fascinating. So 70 years ago today, he broke the world record, took it down to 3 minutes 59 seconds. Fast forward 70 years to today, the world record at the moment is 3 minutes 43. So in 17 years, the world record has only come down 16 seconds. Staggering, isn't it? Now, that is partly because 1,500 metres is run in competition, which isn't a mile. So the official mile is not run that much competitively. That might have something to do with it. But that 3 minutes 43 seconds, which is the current world record, was set in 1999. So it's 25 years this year. That world record has stood for 25 years. And you think, well, hang on, how come no one's broken it in 25 years? Now that shows we really are, I say we, I haven't run a mile in 3 minutes 43. Mankind, shall we say, is really pushing the barriers, obviously, of what can be done, where the limits are. In fact, the world record was only broken twice in the whole of the 1990s. It was broken a few times in the 1980s because you had Sebastian Coe, Steve Ovett, Steve Cram, all that kind of stuff, all that kind of shizzle was going on in the 1980s. But it's only broken twice in the 1990s, and it hasn't been broken for 25 years. So it's a fascinating story, isn't it? I love it. Always, because I like talking about self-improvement, goal achievement, that kind of stuff. It's a classic goal achievement, breaking the 4-minute mile, and it's a really interesting story behind it, isn't it? Let me know what you think. Let me know if maybe you didn't know. I was going to say let me know if you knew who Roger Bannister was. Let me know if you didn't know who Roger Bannister was, and did you find it interesting to hear about the story behind him breaking the 4-minute mile? Okay, signing off for now. I'd love to hear what you think. Leave your thoughts below wherever you happen to be seeing this video. Wishing you as ever health and happiness, and I'll speak to you again soon.